It's the 1st of September 2024. You're welcome back. My channel is, as many have commented, meant to be a news channel. I make no apologies for a news channel because there's no news. I went on BBC Home Service and BBC World News this morning, and I could find nothing about the ships that are being attacked, and a lot of stuff is not on it. They just hide it, and some of it is printed, but then nobody's buying the papers. So there are a few outlets, there's Gripped Media, and there's another crowd called Zero Hedge, which are more financial, and then there's me. There's plenty of room for us all because there's so much lies out there that we can deal with it. We can have plenty to do. Now, one of the things is, folks, you may not know this, but the Ukraine war is not going Ukraine's way. I think you all kind of accept that. Yet you go on, you'll get hundreds of videos showing Russia's finished, Putin's finished, it's all over and all of that. Now, here's the news. Ukraine has defaulted on its debt. And I'm going to read this article from Zero Hedge. I hope they don't object. I'm just doing the best I can. The 22nd of July 2024, that's a little over a month ago, we have a deal. Almost as soon as Zelensky's visit to London concluded, the government of the Ukraine announced that a deal was reached with its main bondholders to restructure the country's nearly 20 billion worth of bonds, including a 37% reduction in the amount owed. But this was only an agreement in principle reached with an ad hoc creditor committee, and it wasn't binding on all the bondholders. So some of these bondholders would be people who manage hedge funds and stuff like that. Instead, it imposed on Ukraine government the restructuring as soon as practical to be implemented through a consent solicitation. Okay. In other words, Ukraine was expected to chase after its creditors and beg them to accept a deal, even offering them at 1.25 consent fee, 1.25 consent fee. Well, things were about to take a sharp turn for the worst. So you see that. I mean, in all fairness, lending money to Ukraine, good luck with that. 24th of July 2024, Ukraine strikes a Fitch, F-I-T-C-H, iceberg, only 2 days after the Ukraine announcement, the deal with their bondholders. Fitch downgraded Ukraine's credit rating from CC to C, reflecting extreme credit risk reserved for countries that entered default or default-like processes. Significantly, Fitch made it explicit that the publication of sovereign reviews is subject to restrictions and must take place according to published schedule, whatever that means. 31st of July 2024, Zelensky temporarily suspends debt repayment. Temporary debt repayments. Zelensky signed a law enabling Ukraine to suspend repayments of external debt for 2 months or longer. Thursday, the 1st of August 2024, debt repayments freeze takes effect. Bondholders' grace period expires. Zelensky's unilateral debt repayments freeze takes effect. What's peculiar about the British financial system is that the taxpayers are obliged to reimburse the Bank of England for any losses it sustains. So the Bank of England throws out money to all these places. Oh, they're woke. Oh, woke. We have to beat the Russians. And when they won't pay them back, it's dumped on the British taxpayer. I don't know what the situation is in Ireland yet. For any losses it sustains on its balance sheet assets. If the price of gilts on the bank's balance sheet collapses, British taxpayers must cover these losses and make the bank whole. Isn't that some scam? You wouldn't hear that on RTE or BBC. I'm telling you, I have the best channel for good news you'll get. And that's a fact. There's no doubt about this. British must cover those losses and make the bank whole. So what kind of money are we talking about? As the Financial Times reported last July, the Bank of England has estimated it will require the Treasury to transfer a total of 150 billion, 150 billion, 150,000 million pounds sterling by 2033 to cover the expected losses on the central bank's quantitative easing programme. So how did they get a law to do that and get it through elections and get the British people to vote for Sir Keir Starmer's government or the Labour government without ever knowing it? Why does it take a farmer with cows from rural Ireland to point out to the British taxpayer you're being made an idiot of? So how much is 150 billion? Provided that things haven't deteriorated since July 2023, they have. We are talking about £2,240 sterling per man, woman and child in Britain. Now, how do we get that? What kind of a corrupt state gives you that? So how much is that? Provided that things haven't deteriorated, I'll read that again, £2,240 sterling per man, woman and child in Britain. Stand and deliver. That's the ransom that the Bank of England is claiming from them. But given that the British workforce is only about half the population and that private enterprise accounts for less than 55% of the bank's GDP, of the British GDP, right? Private enterprise accounts for less than 25%, and that's the money earning part of the bank's GDP. That's gross domestic product. This sum represents nearly 10,000 per employee working in the private sector. I hope you have that, folks. 10,000 per employee working in the private sector. In all, the situation is impossible, and all the cabinet reshuffles and cosmetic patches change nothing of substance in the UK. They amounted to a sort of rearranging of the deck chairs on the Titanic as the ship is already sinking. Anyone who wants to comment from the UK, if you didn't vote in the last election, well, I'll have to give you a thumbs up. But I'm not saying that Reform UK wouldn't do something like this, but at least it was anti-establishment to some degree. So there's how you're being made an idiot of. This is how Zelensky's war is going. British workers have to pay £10,000 out of their own taxes. What's the story in Ireland? We don't know. Maybe we'll find out so. So isn't that good news now you get from real, true education, not fake news? And just to finish off, you see, the reason the BBC and Radio Television are poor at doing finance and international law is they don't have cows. This is the most important thing to understand. Cows keep you on your toes and they teach you how to count. For you have to go out every morning and count them. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you go on then to the base of 10. And when you have that, you'll not be as stupid as the usual RTE, BBC and all these ones, Helen McEntee and Simon Harris and Drew Harris of them all. You'll be far more intelligent. In fact, most people should get a cow. Mightn't be that easy now. I'm not saying I recommend it, but they'll keep you on your toes. Now, this is a stump of an old beech tree that fell, and you might wonder why is it here. It's for the cattle to scratch against and all that, but I had intended doing a sculpture of Eamon Cabbage Head Ryan and to put 2 big cabbage ears on him, but like everything else, folks, good intentions, I never got round to doing it. That's the story. That's what's happening. Good luck.